That's your second night's assignment. And write down 5 truths in your notebook. 5 truths that you hold about a particular other, okay? And again, they can be the first truths that come to your mind, or they can be the truths about another that your soul, may I say, in a moment of quiet reflection, wishes to announce to you. And try not to reject those truths, using the example I used before, where you say, oh, that can't be so, I shouldn't think that way. Allow yourself to just notice that's what came to you. It's probably true. The third level of truth-telling is when you tell the truth about yourself to another. This is the truth that we are most familiar with when we talk in terms of telling the truth. We're supposed to speak the truth, our truth. There is nothing else but our truth. We're supposed to speak our truth to another. And it's the one we learn most about, in kindergarten, in grade school, and so forth. Tell the truth, don't lie, tell the truth. And yet even that is difficult for us to do. I find myself lying to this very day. Got to tell you the truth. I catch myself in what I call little white lies, usually social lies, once in a while. If there's somebody I just don't want to say no to directly, I just don't want to say, actually, I don't want to come and play bridge with you tonight. I don't want to do that. So I go into stories, my sweetie isn't feeling so well tonight, or I'm not feeling so well tonight. I had kind of a tough day, and can I get a rain check? And they hang up, and I hang up, and I know that I didn't tell the truth. The truth is, I don't want to play bridge with you tonight. You bore me to tears. Tonight, just tonight. Maybe next week or whatever. But I didn't. So I still catch myself not telling my whole truth to everyone. And I'm going to forgive myself for that because. Oh, by the way, do you know why I don't tell my truth to other people when it is that I don't? Usually, it's a small little social white lie, but you know why I don't? I think I'm saving their feelings. See, I think that I am protecting them. Isn't that interesting? And the truth is, who I'm protecting is me. Every time I think I'm protecting someone else from how they're going to feel if they know my truth, what I'm really doing is protecting me from how I know I'm going to feel when they hear my truth. They're going to feel less about me, and I'm going to feel terrible about that. Or they're going to feel upset or angry with me, and I'm going to feel bad about that. So because I don't want to feel a certain way, I tell them something that will allow me to maintain the feeling that I do want to have. It gets very complicated. I know I'm not the only person on the planet who's gone through this. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. Nevertheless, the third level of truth-telling invites us to set a new standard for ourselves, to tell our truth about ourselves to another. And that's, again, easier said than done. But if you work hard at it, you can get to the place where you can do that. And I want to suggest you start with a person. Try this with one person. Again, maybe it's your spouse, your loved one, someone who's very, very close, your best friend, someone who's very, very close to you. And tell them in advance what you're going to do. Otherwise, they're going to wonder what's going on with you. All of a sudden, they're hearing certain things from you that perhaps they're not used to hearing. So say to them, with your permission, I'm going to start a little experiment with you. I'm going to use you as part of my process. I'm going to practice telling you the truth, my truth, about myself, to you on everything, all the time. Try it for a week, a month, a day, whatever. But I'm going to suggest you just try it with one person, because this is going to be a little bit more difficult, not as easily done as it is said. But if you can begin to practice with that one person, you'll learn how to buffet yourself and deal with yourself when your truth about yourself is shared with that other, and when it does make you feel a little bit like, oh, a little bit scary. is he or she going to like me anymore? Or have I risked ruining the entire weekend? Or you'll just have to go through that whole process of what it feels like to say what's true for you about you to that other person. And after you try that for a while with that blessed other who's willing to play with you in that way and be your process partner, then you can expand it to more and more people until ultimately, in fact, you are telling more than one other person your truth about yourself. That's the third level of truth-telling, to tell your truth about everything in your life, your relationship, your job, your hopes, your dreams, your fears, everything. To tell my truth about myself to another. Now your assignment for night number 3 is to take the same notebook and write down 5 truths about yourself that you would like to share with a particular, maybe a beloved other, okay? The 4th level of truth-telling, sometimes I get confused where I am, I go the 4th level, and it's really, the 4th level of truth-telling is to tell your truth about that other to that other. Are you following this now? To tell your truth about another to that other person. And that's where it can get very delicate for obvious reasons. And that's where we are really tested to see how deeply into, how far into our integrity, how far into our place of new being, the new being that we are going to embrace, we're willing to go. Because, in fact, life is life, and sometimes my truth about another person is not the truth that they are going to be happy to hear, that they are going to welcome hearing. Now, and that does not mean that I shouldn't tell them. It means that they simply may not welcome hearing it. Of course, I'm not talking now about walking down the street and saying to somebody, why would you wear a hat like that? Or that's a terrible looking shirt. Or, we're not talking about indiscriminate and random statements, but we are talking about telling our truth when it's really important, when the other person clearly has a need to know. When you're holding 5 cards and they're holding 4, it's like not okay. So we're talking about in the important moments of your life. I want to say again, hopefully in all the moments of your life, but surely in the important moments of your life, with the important people of your life, you're going to tell your truth about that other to that other. Not your truth about a third person, your truth about that other to that other. Or if you were the person, I'd be telling my truth about you to you. Your assignment on the 4th night of our week-long break between lessons is to write in your notebook your truth, the truth that you hold about an important other person. And I want to make it part of this assignment. I want to invite you to make it the most important person. May I qualify it one step further? The most important living person. Maybe before the end of the course, we'll invite you to do the same process with the most important person, living or not living, using the standard terminology. Nobody really dies, we know that, but using ordinary human terminology. Maybe later in the course, we'll have you make the same notations in your notebook. My truth about another. I can't tell my truth to that other because they're no longer alive, or maybe I can. Maybe I can. In the movie Conversations with God, you may recall a scene where I actually told my mother, who had celebrated her continuation day, who was no longer among the living as we commonly refer to it, my mother who had passed on. But there's a scene in the movie where I actually told her the truth. I went to her gravesite in Milwaukee, stood over her headstone, right at the foot of her grave, and told her my then existing truth. That can be very, releasing, very self-purifying to do that. But for this assignment on the fourth night, I'm talking about a person who's now living in the physical body, okay? So write down 5 truths that you would like to tell that other about themselves. Maybe they can be truths that you've already expressed. You know, I love you more than you, I think you know. Or I've got an issue with you that I've never discussed with you fully before, although we've talked about it now and then. Or it could be something that you've withheld. This is particularly important if you are on withhold. That's a phrase I like to use that I picked up many years ago from a woman named Terry Cole Whitaker. Reverend Terry Cole Whitaker used to use that phrase a lot, and I picked it up from her. She used to say, do not be on withhold, to be on withhold with somebody. That is, do not be withholding something from somebody. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you got 5 cards and they're holding 4. So particularly if you're on withhold with regard to somebody, the 4th level of truth-telling invites you, encourages you, demands, if you really are serious about it, of you, that you tell your truth about another person to that other person. All right. And then the 5th level of truth-telling is to tell the truth to everyone about everything. That's pretty simple, actually. It's interestingly enough, after the first 4, it becomes the easiest, but it's fair for it to be the easiest of the 5 steps because it's graduation day, and you get to have a little bit of a relief from all the pressures and the strain of the other 4 steps. But you will find, actually, seriously, when you tell the truth to yourself about yourself, to yourself about another, to another about you, to another about that other, after you do those 4 steps, you'll find that telling the truth to everyone about everything really comes pretty easily. And I think that the reason that that's true, I have an hypothesis about this. I hypothesize that the reason that it's true that it becomes easier is that generally these first 4 steps we take with people who are very important to us, or about people who are very important to us. First of all, ourselves, obviously, then that other significant person, and people who are very close to us. So once we've gotten the truth about that very important person out there on the table, both with ourselves and with them, telling the truth to the mailman, you know, or the guy at the office, or whoever else is left in your life, you know, on the outer circle, actually becomes kind of easy because we've already done the tough work. So suddenly we find the joy and the wonder of telling the truth to everyone about everything.